South Centers live streaming video shows that are aired here at our South Centers channel. We work in collaboration with our educational partner at the University of Rio Grande Community College, in which we provide different educational programs for our listening and viewing audience. Our goal is simple: to inform our listening and viewing audience of the diverse educational programs, and more importantly, the individuals that work in our different areas, that we are able to broadcast live different pieces of information that perhaps someone finds of great value. Today we have a unique program in the fact that we have two individuals that are going to be speaking from Columbus. We're going to be Skyping them in. Emily Wickham and Audrey Hoey. They're going to be talking about some of the aspects that students are involved with Ohio State University and the agricultural programs. We're also going to be talking with Jeff Moore. Jeff Moore is Gallia County OSU Extension person at the Gallia County program. And he's going to be talking about new and existing farmers with a variety of educational programs and group training that assists individuals in best meeting the needs of the agricultural program. Let's begin our recording. Mike Thompson, Director of the Instructional Design and Media Services, and Dwayne Rigsby, he's our system specialist, meet once a month in which they have a program show format that's called Agri-Talk. And in this segment, they interviewed Jeff Moore.
From anything from cattle to vegetables.
Okay. Also, he is from the Extension office. Could you define Extension? What that does?
Extension is a variety of things, a wide variety of things
Okay.
now, but it's everything from helping the community to different ag products to clear into food nutrition and everything else. So it used to be a little narrower, but now I think it encompasses so much more. So, but yep, that's
And
it.
each county has an extension agent or not?
Yes, some have multiples. Some have only one. It varies. They can have an ag agent. They could have 4-H. Every county has 4-H for sure. Some may have more. May have 2 4-H agents, or maybe a 4-H agent and a helper or something to that effect. But yeah.
And we're in Ohio, so does Ohio have? Does every other state have an extension?
Yeah, they do in some form or another. Now, they all may not look exactly the same. Some are really limited, I'll call it, in resources. Some are very plentiful. I would call Ohio probably one of the plentiful states. But in the most part, yeah, there's some states that's very thin, I think, in that, meaning they may only have an ag person that covers half a state or something, depending on the state and what resources they have and things
Rhode
like
Island versus Texas.
Yeah. There may be only one person that covers the entire state. Who knows?
Right. Okay, well, we have an extension educator here today.
Yes, we have Jeff Moore from Gallia County Extension. And Jeff, welcome to the show. And what we'd like to do is first give you a little bit of time to tell us about yourself, how long you've been with the OSU Extension, and a little bit about your background prior to coming to the Extension office.
Okay. Like I said, I'm Jeff Moore. I am the ag educator for Gallia County, Ohio. I like my job. I like being able to work with the farmers and help them start new projects or to continue something they've been doing, to give sustainability to some of those family farmers and those operations. Prior to coming to Extension with Ohio State, I actually finished my master's in ruminant nutrition from the University of Arkansas, and then came back home to the family farm that happens to be in Gallia County, predominantly a beef cow-calf operation, also some forages and some tobacco and some other things like that. But also worked with a local packing plant where we tried to not only process the animals, but help promote marketing of those products from the producers to the individual consumers.
And how long have you been with the Extension office now?
This November will be 4 years for me with Extension.
4 years. Great.
And being that local processing plant, I guess there's a whole movement towards being local. And that not only covers vegetables and plant-based things, but it also does like beef cattle or whatever type of animal products, right?
Yeah. The demand for local products, whether it be produce, whether it be meats, whether it be dairy products, even into the eggs and things like that, has grown significantly in the last several years. So.
Right. One of the things that I think consumers think is, I know where it came from. It wasn't from, some scary factory farm in some far off state. I know it was from this guy's farm down the road, and I know how he keeps his cattle.
Knowing the farmer, having that relationship with the farmer is big for a lot of people. Like you said, knowing it's not from a factory farm, but it is from their neighbor, basically, somebody who that they might go to church with or they might see every day on the street, just your normal person. So.
Are there other benefits from buying local?
The benefits from buying local, I mean, you could go on forever.
Yeah, big topic, isn't it?
It is a very big topic.
I know there's a financial part. You put the money back into your own ecosystem as far as the money goes, but as far as consuming products that were grown in your local area.
Well, you mentioned the financial aspects of it. If we're supporting that local farmer, we're not only helping support them and their family, we're supporting the businesses they shop at, we're supporting our local community, and that those tax dollars are staying right here in our area. The benefits of being able to have fresh produce. If you're looking at some of the local producers, you can actually find whatever you're looking for, whether that be some of the organic stuff, if you want stuff that hasn't had pesticides or anything used on it. Those options are more available, and you can actually talk to the producer and find out what they're doing. So.
Right. I know we bought our Thanksgiving turkey from a local guy. It costs a little bit more, but I know it was raised like a mile from where I live.
How big in Gallia County is local produce now? Do we have a big produce market, auctions? What are some of the things that we have in our options in Gallia County?
Okay, for Gallia County specifically, the local produce and the local goods have really taken off in the last several years, whether that be through starting the Gallia County Farmers Market, which is a place where people can go find vendors with the different meats, cheeses, produce, anything like that, any agricultural or food product, to having the Ohio Valley Produce Auction open here in Gallia County. I believe this is our 5th year in operation. So, there's a lot of produce like that. We have a lot of farmers who are marketing things from their homes. Some of them using the cottage food industry laws or regulations and laws to be able to do that. So the demand is definitely being met in Gallia County. We'd kind of like to continue to grow that, develop the market more, and also help the producers that way too.
Now the auction, who buys from that? Would that be the local grocery stores? Would I find local, tomatoes in my grocery store around me, or where is that going?
Well, as far as the produce auction goes, they've kind of been set up more to work towards providing your grocery stores, providing your restaurants, your businesses with large amounts of things. They do have small lots, is what they're calling them, where if me as a I want to can my own tomatoes or something at home, I can still go buy small lots of that instead of buying the whole pallet or the whole crate.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
So they still have that, but predominantly they are working more for the restaurants, the grocery stores, the larger volume purchasers. Um, if somebody's just wanting some things, to feed their families, working with the farmers market might be a better option for them.
Yeah, there's farmers market in each county probably. I don't think it's regulated to that, but
No, farmers markets, there is no regulation on how many you can have in a county, or even in a town for that matter. I believe most of our surrounding counties have at least one farmers market. I know Gallia County has one. That it's been a good service for the community and for the producer as well.
and you can find more than just tomatoes and beans there. They've got fudge and cakes, pies, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, the baked goods have always been really popular at farmers markets, and it's a way that farmers can make money, but also it adds some other products that'll draw customers in as well. So, and like you said, the fudges and caramels and stuff like that tend to be pretty good. I know I spend quite a bit of money on them every
Yeah.
week. So,
Good topics. What else what about into the cattle market, or not necessarily market, but education-wise? What do you offer as far as that?
as far as education through the cattle type things, each year OSU offers a beef school. It's helped put on by our state beef specialist, John Grimes, and he covers topics, or has other people cover topics that involve genetics, management, marketing, all the helpful things like that. Each individual county a lot of times will do different forage and grazing programs, trying to educate people on how to do that, how to manage their resources on their farm, whether it be through setting up watering facilities, how to manage your forage to get the most use out of it, storing forages, all kinds of things like that. So,
What do you see that most people need? What's one of the biggest problems that you can help with or have helped with? Was there a
As
common
far as-
problem through the area that, whether it's marketing or the water or food sources?
well, with the largest problem, I think that would depend on the individual client that's coming in.
Okay.
Or making the phone call. That's one of the things I like to do is when they call in, just get some background information on them, find out what they're trying to do, what's holding them back, what's limiting their ability to do that, and work with them from there. Some of them, it may be finding financing to put up a barn, to put up fencing, different types of things like that. While OSU Extension doesn't offer any grants or any type of monetary programs, trying to keep an idea of what is out there so we can refer them to those other agencies, whether it be NRCS or Farm Service Agency, or just a different group that can help them that way. If it comes to just an education program they need, either finding that for them or figuring out a way to offer that to them, or work with them on a one-to-one basis. So the problems each person has are very different, but trying to help them find that solution is part of the job that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So.
Do you see people going into maybe some new and emerging fields? I know there's like hydroponics and, I don't know, raising fish and, like a fish farm or different things.
Well, agriculture in general, it's always changing. Nothing ever stays the same. And, like you said, some of the hydroponic programs where they're raising the fish and different things. I know it's something they work with quite a bit in Piketon. So there's a lot of research and field days and stuff going with that. I haven't seen anybody locally doing that. Some of the other hydroponic programs where they're raising the different vegetables and stuff, that's something that some people have tried and are continuing to work with. So there's always something new going on, and it's kind of exciting seeing what people are going to do. And farmers in general they've always kind of been seen as traditional, stuck in the mud type people. But once you get to talking to them, you'll realize that a lot of them are very up to date. They know what's going on. They want to try those new things, and they're very willing to in a lot of situations.
Now that somewhat goes into maybe the next thing is as far as trying new things and better yield is GMOs. I guess I'd like to talk a little about what is a GMO.
It's a big question. A GMO, by definition, is anything that we have changed the genetic makeup of. So whether that be through crossing two varieties or scientifically going in and adding genes from one thing to another.
Why would a company do that?
The primary reason that GMOs have been developed are to increase yields, to reduce disease problems, and to produce a product that better fits our need.
So it's not like there's a chemical within that would be harmful.
No, I think a lot of the misconception is that when people think of GMOs, they are thinking about those, what they call frankenfoods, that genes have been altered or added to completely change something. But when actually you look at it, GMOs are simply something we have worked to develop that, some of the things that we have, the Roundup Ready crops. All that's been done is it has been genetically selected for plants that can survive Roundup. And by doing that, we have been able to use less herbicides in our crops. We can go in and spray the fields with Roundup, plant our crop, maybe do one more application, and have it to where we're not having to go and multiply spray these, to where we can cut back on the herbicides we're using. And also it saves on labor for the farmer because he's not having to do all the cultivation and tillage, which can in turn be passed on to the consumer by reducing the amount or the cost they're having to pay for the food. So, and allows that farmer to produce more in a system where
if there's less waste or damage from different things. Yeah, I thought, well, you're crossing different things. It'd be like a Labradoodle, and the reason that people like Labradoodles is because they don't shed as much. And so there's a benefit to having that cross, but it's not like a Frankenstein dog. It's not going to hurt you. And I can't remember what the next thing I was going to say was. But
well, the GMOs in general, they have enabled us, like I said, to use less herbicides, less pesticides. We've created plants that don't have as many disease problems. We don't have to use as many fungicides. We don't have to use as many pesticides. They're taking care of that so we can use less of them. And one of the big things with OSU is every year we do the pesticide applicator certification. And every year farmers using pesticides have to come in and get certified by the ODA. OSU will do that training for them.
Because you just can't spray a field just because you want to.
Yeah. We educate these people and try to encourage them and train them how to properly use these pesticides and herbicides to where they're getting the benefit from them but not creating environmental problems.
Like killing bees and different things like that.
If you're looking at the bees, we try to educate them on when to use the pesticides. We're not going to spray whenever the crop's in full bloom when the bees are going to be there. Also, if we're looking at the bees, spraying at certain times of the day would be more beneficial or cause less problems. So, and also looking at the types of herbicides and pesticides we're using, trying to figure it out that way.
And another thing on the GMO thing, if you knew that, like stomach cancer runs very strong in your family, or any other type of cancer, right? Would you not maybe try and change that DNA a little bit to subtract or add something so you were not susceptible to that? And would that be like, against your, can't think of the word. Anyway, that's sort of like what you're saying as far as disease tolerant and stuff. And that may be coming down the line.
I guess I would kind of look at it more of instead of going in and changing genes and changing the makeup of the human being or of ourselves, I would look at it more as maybe a vaccination program. If we can go in and introduce the antibodies or something that's going to create the antibodies in our body to prevent that then it's definitely worth doing. While we're not changing the genetic makeup of that person, just adding something to it that's going to allow their body, what they already have, to function better.
To help defend it.
Defend it that way.
Kind of like the flu shot or something.
Yeah,
now,
like
I
the flu
guess,
shot.
Yeah.
It's always possible.
I was trying to like relate it to some other things people are
Yeah.
familiar with.
Yeah,
So it's
I
not
mean-
such a scary
Yeah.
thing that people
No,
are
Everybody
afraid
is
of.
afraid of it.
It's a very useful program that they can use. And like I said, in general, it does help reduce the labor, reduce costs, make food cheaper, and also makes it healthier for us that way.
Mhm.
Along with that, obviously, we're trying to produce more food with less land, it seems like, and with the population growing so much, we've got to figure out a way to produce more with less. Do we see the local area, Gallia County or surrounding, do you see the land going away like what we're hearing, or
And you mean as far as development and what land is
development,
available for
yeah,
agriculture?
or just farmers going away, as far as maybe they're retiring and their younger ones not picking it up, or do you see that in this area?
I guess we'll start out a little bit with development and that type of thing. You know, anytime we're taking land out of agricultural use, whether we're putting houses on it, putting roads on it, we're decreasing the amount of food we can possibly produce. While we realize people have to have houses to live in, places to stay, and that type of thing. So, I mean, that's something we've got to work with. And farmers being able to adapt and produce more food on less land is something that we're working on, as well as the farmers themselves. As far as, do I see farmers going away as far as retiring? Farming's challenging. If you look
It's a tough
at
If you're
job.
looking for an easy job, that ain't the one.
That's
to
not
get.
it.
Not the one to get into, that's for sure.
But it is rewarding. It does have its payoffs.
It's
It
a
does.
very rewarding job. You can look at what you've done and see the effects fairly quickly. But if you look at the age of the average farmer, that age continues to rise and rise. We're kind of at a phase right now that a lot of those older farmers are looking to retire, if a farmer ever actually retires.
If they ever
Yeah.
retire.
It's not a very common thing for a farmer to talk about, but we are at that age that a lot of them are starting to slow down. But at the same time, it's kind of encouraging because you see a whole new generation of farmers, younger people, getting involved. And with them, they kind of bring some new experiences, some new outlooks, some new goals. So, I mean, it's an exciting time. It's kind of a changing time for agriculture.
Yeah, I think some of those new technologies like the hydroponics and different things will be very well suited for this area, because this is a hilly, kind of rocky region where it's not flat fields that are easy to cultivate. You know, so you might have to look at something a little different to make the best of what you have.
Yeah, well, talking about the hydroponics and everything, that could be an option for us. Whenever you get into the home gardeners and things like that, doing things like raised beds and things could definitely help them a lot that way too. You know, southeastern Ohio has typically always been a cattle area. You know, these hillsides that we have, we really shouldn't be going out and tilling them up, putting crops on them, but they make great forage for livestock. So, but, you know, have your livestock on the hill and raise your crops in the bottom, or put them in the greenhouse and hydroponics, or what you're going to do that way. So.
What other things can you help a person with other than farming in this area?
Well, as an ag educator, we kind of get asked to do quite a few things. Farming and agriculture is primarily what we focus on. But for the homeowner, we also provide things like, what can we use to control this pest? How can we discourage snakes from staying around the house? You know, different types of things about how should we put in our access road to get into our house? Conservation practices. Hunters a lot of times will be looking to us to see how to put out their food plots, or how to manage a woodland to where it can be used best that way. So, I mean, there's a lot of programs out there. We also a lot of times get to work with the youth in the counties. I know I work with the Gallia County Junior Fair, with the livestock portion and the crops portion of the fair, and just a lot of different opportunities that if people have a question, give us a call and we can help you however we can.
So if you got a bad patch in your yard, you could test the soil and see what it needs.
Yep. Most offices in the state will offer soil testing. Normally, we have to send those samples off. We can normally have them back to you within a week or so.
And you charge for that.
We do have to charge for that. Normally, it's only the cost of the test and the cost of shipping to get it done. So it's one of the things we do offer, and we'll help you figure out what to do with those results when you get it back to fix the problem.
How about if you've got some bushes or trees or different things that's not growing correctly or possibly diseased? I had an ash tree with little beetles in it that it didn't survive very well.
With the emerald ash borer,
Right.
I kind of look at my job as a problem solver. You know, somebody comes in or calls in and they say, hey, this is wrong with my bush, or it's not doing this, it's not growing like it's supposed to. Well, I mean, there's a whole list of things you can go down through on management, on diseases and things, looking for that problem, helping them figure out what it is and how to treat it. So,
Could you do something about the ticks?
well,
The
They
ticks are
seem to be a
terrible.
little aggressive this year. They do.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
it was cold enough to kill off any, if that even happens.
yeah. That's one of the things I've actually got several calls on in the last couple of weeks. And you know, for homeowners, if it could be as simple as, you know, keeping your yard mowed close, doing away with tall vegetation, moving things like kids' swing sets out into the sun instead of under the shade tree.
Do they
for-
stay in the shade?
Yeah, if you can stay out in the sun, you're going to have less ticks.
Okay.
So keeping them
So
away
my
from
hikes in the
coverings.
woods are not the best.
Not the
I know I haven't been in the woods for a year because of the ticks. I would come out of the woods and I would pick off probably 20, 25 ticks. It's crazy.
Yeah. And apply a good insecticide or a good preventer, and then go have fun. I mean, I wouldn't avoid the woods just because
Yeah.
afraid of them getting
But
on
when
you.
these buggers bite you, they leave
some
a
of these
welt.
Some of these are pretty
They
dangerous.
can give you diseases. And I've heard dogs that they'll get a disease that it could be life-threatening.
And that's one of the things with the pets is making sure we manage their homes and their houses to where we can kind of prevent the ticks from having a place to stay there. So some of our farm dogs, it's a little bit harder to keep something on, but there are products we can
You're right.
use. So.
With all of this information, obviously they can call you, but do you have information on your website, or do you direct people to different sites or anything like that that might be useful?
Yeah, look on your county's extension website. Just Google it, whatever your county is, an extension office, and it'll come up. Normally there's an ag section on there that'll have articles, links to different things, programs coming up, and that type of thing. You know, if somebody comes in and they have a problem, we can refer them to places like South Centers, where some of the state specialists and things are. Or we have the whole university at our disposal to help out with. So Ohio Line is a good program or a good website people can go to and look at articles, go on there and search for your ticks and how to control them. There's probably a fact sheet on there about that. So
Maybe what you could wear if possibly there's an oil or something that they don't like.
Yeah.
Or a different type of clothing that wouldn't hurt.
Not bad.
So we got a couple minutes left. Is there anything you would like to tell people that they should know about this time? It's spring.
it's spring, I guess. Get out there and get busy. I mean, it's time to get your gardens out, clean your yards up, and get them looking nice. You know, farmers are out there trying to get fields planted if the weather would cooperate with them.
Yeah, if it'd be cooperative, you're right.
Yeah, it's been raining like 4 or 5 days out of the week right now.
And if not that, it's frosted. It
Yeah.
seems like
That frost did cause some problems for some of our homeowners and some of our farmers. You know, those early crops that they got out there. Normally, our average last frost date around here is May 10th. As you all know, after that, we received a frost.
Yeah.
And some gardens and stuff got burnt. So, I mean, check
I
those
don't-
plants.
I don't really count on it until after Memorial Day. That's when I feel safe.
Check those plants. You know, if they've got too much damage, it might be time to replace them or reseed. Or give them a chance to come back if you can see they're still fairly healthy with just slight burn on top. So.
Well, if that's about it, Jeff, we really appreciate you coming on the show, and be glad to have you back again. We'll update the people again with some more topics and go from there. If you got anything else, last words from you, Mike, at all? Speak up.
I'm
Are
not
there any
ready for my
questions?
last words yet.
Not last words yet. Okay. There you go. Yeah, that's true. We're not either. So.
Well,
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
all right. Thanks for watching AgriTalk, and we'll see you next month here at 1 o'clock on Wednesday.
Uh, we had the opportunity, Dwayne Rigsby and Mike Thompson, to feature Jeffrey Moore with the Gallia County OSU Extension Office. It is interesting, before undertaking his educator position, he was a manager at a beef packing plant in Gallia County. Uh, he currently partners with a number of different community organizations. That's the nice thing about our extension program, our extension educators, is the fact that they are involved with many different kinds of community resources, community programs. As a matter of fact, in our program at Ohio State University in the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences, there is a Department of Agricultural Communication and Education, as well as Leadership, or ASL, that helps promote agriculture, helps promote ways in which individuals can be involved in the community. Each last week on Friday, we invite Emily Wickham. Emily is a student services coordinator with the Ohio State University, the ASL program, in which she is going to be talking with different students, different faculty, different administrators involved with that program, and how they are affecting both the students and the people that they are working with on a good basis. And so I welcome Emily to our program. Emily is calling from Columbus, Ohio.
Hello.
Emily, it is a pleasure having you back on our program, and
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you for having me again.
Just out of curiosity, have you been involved with the different tasks with the farm review? Boy, you talk about a mind going.
Yeah, so last week, Ohio State hosted the Farm Science Review, and so I was at it all 3 days. The Office of Prospective Students has a building at Farm Science Review that is geared towards high school students that are interested in studying agriculture. So over the course of the 3 days, we had we had a little over 1,000 students come through the building and visit different departments that are in our college to learn about, what they can study, what student involvement opportunities there are, what they can do to study abroad. One of our stations was actually, we had alumni come in and staff it, so they were able to talk to an alum about their experiences at Ohio State and how their education here has helped them in their current job or past jobs. And so they were able just to kind of get a little bit of information about all the different regional campuses that we have and different ways that they can start. So yeah, we were there all 3 days and were able to speak with a lot of prospective students.
I think that is great. As a matter of fact, you've invited on a guest today who is in their senior year, who has been working with different faculty and individuals at the Ohio State University South Centers. Please introduce your guest.
Yeah, so with me today is Audrey Hoey, and she is a senior studying community leadership with a specialization in community and extension education. So I'm going to let Audrey maybe tell a little bit more about herself, and then we've got some questions for her as well.
Great.
Okay, so as Emily said, I'm Audrey. My major is community leadership with a focus in extension education. I'm from Chillicothe, Ohio, which is in Ross County, not far from here. And my minor is international social and economic development. So I'm really enjoying my time at Ohio State, and I'm starting to wrap it up with my senior year.
So Audrey, so she said she's majoring. So our community leadership major has two specializations. One is community and extension education, and the other is leadership. So she has the specialization in community and extension education. So why did you choose community leadership, and then why did you choose one specialization over the other?
Okay. So I'm really interested in non-formal education within the agricultural industry. So at first I kind of thought maybe I wanted to go straight into ag education and work with students in a classroom setting, but then I realized that I'm more interested in working in non-formal situations with people and learners of all ages, not just youth, but also with adults, talking about, all aspects of agriculture and what it means to them in their daily lives.
So Audrey, one of the requirements that our students have here in the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences, they're required to do an internship before they graduate. So Audrey completed an internship last semester, and she has another one coming up in the spring. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about your internship last summer, what you did, and then the one coming up as well, that would be great.
Okay. So this past summer, I had the opportunity to work with ADM Grain in Farmer City, Illinois. It's a very small town in central Illinois, one of the largest growing corn counties in the entire state of Illinois. So I worked in their grain elevator. So I worked directly with farmers, buying their grain and contracting prices for them. So this fall, when they're harvesting, they were able to go ahead and bring their grain in, and they knew exactly what money they were getting. So I was working directly with farmers, making sure that they were getting the prices that they needed and doing everything I could to help make sure they had a successful and bountiful harvest.
And then this spring, you're going to be interning with Ohio Farm Bureau, is that right?
Yeah, so I recently found out that this spring I'll be doing an internship with Farm Bureau here in Columbus. And I'm really looking forward to this opportunity because it brings out that part of non-formal education that I was talking about earlier. I'm not exactly sure what I'll be doing yet. I think I'm going to be covering a little bit of everything. Ohio Farm Bureau has a Young Ag Professionals program that they've started recently. So I think I'm going to be working some with them, maybe traveling to different counties around the state and seeing how they operate differently around the state compared to maybe here in Columbus.
Very cool. So today actually is the Career Expo for our college. So there's more than 88 employers on campus to do a Career Expo for students in our college from noon to 4 o'clock today. So if anybody's watching that's in the college, that's a reminder. But obviously, probably a lot of our students are at class right now, hopefully. That's an opportunity for our students to go and find internships either for this spring or this coming summer even. Like that's already something that's on a lot of students' minds is figuring out what they're going to be doing this summer to get those internships to fulfill that credit and also get that experience that will help them then when they go to look for their full-time job. But this Career Expo also has people that are looking to hire students after they graduate. So they'll be on campus today at the expo, and then tomorrow a lot of those companies will be doing interviews on campus to fill those positions. So we'll have some students that know what they're doing this summer or after graduation just within the next couple days. And we're only in week 7 of the school year, so that's pretty good. Another thing that I wanted to ask Audrey about was student involvement at Ohio State. So that's really important. And in our college alone, we have more than 40 student organizations. And then across the university, there are more than 1,000 student organizations. And I know Audrey's involved in a couple, so I just want her to explain what student organizations you're involved in and what different roles you have in those, and maybe like the purpose of the organization as well.
Okay. So one organization that I'm active in is Sigma Alpha. It's a professional agricultural sorority, and it was founded here at Ohio State, actually. So, we really take pride in that, and there's over 80 chapters around the country now. So I'm really involved with that, and different philanthropy events that we do. We do ag in the classroom, so we go to inner city schools here in Columbus and teach them about agriculture. in a simple way, as simple as, telling them what is in the cheeseburger that they eat and, what different ingredients go into that. Another organization that I've been a part of is the Agribusiness Club. And so that was kind of, I thought maybe I was interested in working for a business after graduation. So I thought they have meetings every other week and they have a business come in, such as ADM or Cargill, and they'll tell us about opportunities that they have available within their company. So that kind of gives students the opportunity to meet these people before they go to the Career Expo and make those connections. And they also, last year we went on a trip to Texas with that group. So we did different facility tours of grain elevators and exports and different things like that. And another group that I've been semi-involved with is the Agriculture Communicators of Tomorrow. And they also have a professional development event that just happened this past Tuesday.
On Tuesday, yeah.
It's called Night for Young Professionals. That kind of allows students within the college to get together and learn a little bit about how to be professional and prepare them for this Career Expo. So,
if I may ask a question.
Yeah, of course.
You're just about ready to complete your college experience. If you had a number of seniors in high school, would there be a few words of advice that you would give to them, whether they go to Ohio State University or they go to University of Rio Grande, or are there some things that you wish you had known?
Yeah, so when I got to Ohio State, I stressed a lot about getting involved and just making sure that I wasn't missing out on anything. So it is important to make sure that you get involved, but I think I spread myself maybe a little too thin from the beginning. I wanted to be, there's, like Emily said, there's over 40, organizations just within our college, and that doesn't count the 1,000 of organizations within the entire university. So I wanted to be involved in everything that I had an interest in. And, while it is important to explore different clubs, it's important to make sure you have priorities and figure out which ones really fit the needs that you have and, your deep passions and interests, and devote yourself to those, because you can become more successful in a few organizations than if you spread yourself maybe too thin and try to be a part of everything.
Yeah, we see that a lot, and we really encourage students to get involved in organizations that are related to their major. So whether that be being involved in something that she has an interest in that will help her when she goes to get a job or make connections, like she mentioned with the Ag Business Club. So that's really important. But also, we don't want students that are just in 40 different organizations and don't really get an experience in any of those, because it's better, like she said, to have a couple organizations where you're really devoted to, maybe have a leadership role, really get a lot out of, than just going to a different student organization meeting every evening and then not actually participating in the organization. Did you have something else to add?
I was going to add, there are also organizations that might not, they're national organizations, they might not meet on campus, but you can still become involved with them through your campus. So this year I've had the opportunity to serve as a national campus ambassador for Agriculture Future of America. And they're a national agriculture organization for college students who are interested in careers in agriculture and interested in learning about different opportunities that are available within agriculture. So it's been a really great experience because I've been able to meet a lot of students here at Ohio State, maybe that I didn't know before, who have an interest in agriculture, and want to meet people from around the country and just see what other opportunities are available. So, you might not be exposed directly to those with meetings on campus, but there are those opportunities available, and it's important to explore those as well.
Yeah, and Audrey will be going to their national conference in November, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's held every year in Kansas City. So I always hear great things about it, and the students always come back and talk highly of it, just about the experiences that they've had, the connections they've made with people in the industry that will then propel them into the ag industry once they get hired. And a lot of times we have students that, come to our career fair and maybe don't find the right fit for them here, but there's also connections in a career expo at AFA. So then they are able to find an internship there, maybe somewhere across the country. So we've had students that have done that before and have found an internship at AFA and then it ended up interning maybe in Nebraska or out west. as a result of just attending that conference. So those are really great things.
That's rather interesting. Um, University of Rio Grande, Ohio State University, Shawnee State University, they're all international colleges. We may
Yeah.
not have um, everyone from every country come to the agricultural program, etc. However, your interaction, Audrey and Emily, with international students, care to comment on that?
Yeah, so we actually do have international students in our department that are
Okay.
studying community leadership. Actually, we have students. I mean, we have students from all like different backgrounds studying all of our majors. But specifically, I know that we have a couple students that are from China that are studying in community leadership, and that's been a really popular major for a lot of international students. We also have international students in our graduate programs as well. So we have a master's and PhD program in agricultural and extension education. And I mean, I don't work directly with those programs. We have another student related person that does that. Um, but we have students from all over the world that are in that program here on campus. And then we also have an online program. So that opens opportunities for students around the world that can't physically travel, or maybe move to Columbus, but they can work on a master's degree at a distance.
Uh, just out of curiosity, have either of you had an opportunity to go out of the United States and see some of the different
Yeah,
agricultural
great
fields?
question. So one thing that I did want Audrey to speak on was study abroad. So our college has a really robust study abroad program. We have a lot of students that travel around the world each year. We're on 7 continents now. So if a student would like to study abroad in Antarctica, we have a program for that. They can spend, I think it's 2 weeks-ish, over the winter break studying abroad in Antarctica, and they live on a cruise ship and travel in seas every day. But so we have programs all over the world. Audrey and I actually went to Honduras together last May. So she was a student on the trip, and I kind of went as a guest slash photographer slash female chaperone of sorts. So I want Audrey to talk a little bit about that because I know we both had really great experiences, and that was my first international travel outside of the Bahamas or Niagara Falls. So I don't know about Audrey and what other international travel she's had.
Yeah, so as Emily said, that was a really rewarding trip that we had to Honduras this past May. We were there for 2 weeks, and the focus of the trip was community development. So we worked at a vocational school, we worked at individual homes, we went to communities, just helping people wherever we could. The professor that took us, Dr. Kano, he goes down to Honduras all the time and builds these connections with individuals and with schools and different things around Honduras and in the community that we work in. So when we go, he has these programs set up where we can pour sidewalks at the vocational school and, help people develop their homes so they feel safe. And you just travel around the country, and we really got to meet a lot of locals and made connections with a lot of youth, and it was just a really rewarding experience.
Yeah, so some of the things Audrey, like you talked on, was we were able to do a lot of things on a study abroad trip that you wouldn't get to do if you just like traveled somewhere on vacation. So first of all, the city that we were in would not be a travel destination for anyone. Like the closest airport was 3.5 hours away, and then we took like a bus kind of through the mountains to get to the city, and it's the third largest city in Honduras, but they don't have an airport, and there's no type of tourism there at all. So it's not like, I mean, we stayed in a hotel, but I'm pretty sure the hotel is mostly used by groups like us coming in or mission groups from different organizations. But we, visited cities and villages that we wouldn't ever get to see otherwise if it wasn't for a study abroad. We got to take tours of agricultural businesses. That's not something that you would get to do if you were, just there on vacation. Like you couldn't just walk into a milk processing plant and say like, hey, can we tour your facility? So we got to see that. We got to see schools behind the scenes. I don't know, what were some other highlights for you of like different
different schools in 3 different villages, and we were able to. We went to somebody's actual house in that village, prepared a meal. All of us students prepared a meal, and then we took it to the school and served it to the students. And that was one of my most rewarding experiences. Yeah.
I think
Because the school system there,
that
like,
is
it's
great.
very different from the United States, and so they only go to school for half a day, and they don't have lunch. So for us to come in and serve lunch, that was like a huge deal that they were getting a meal at lunch. And on top of it being like 110 degrees some days, plus humidity, a lot of the students, like, they didn't have running water in the villages, let alone out of school. So the fact that we were coming in and we were giving them a meal, and that we were giving them, kind of like Kool-Aid to drink for lunch, like, it was just very exciting for them, and then also very humbling for us students from the United States to see that, these are things that we take for granted each day, but they're really kind of
That
resource
is true.
driven.
How do one of the questions we always ask, and I'll share this with you. Mike Thompson, his family is from Germany, and so many times in Germany or any other country, they see on television different shows, and it was interesting. Some of Mike's relatives about 20 years ago wanted to know where he keeps his horse because he assumed everyone has horses, because of all the westerns that were on there. But they form judgments by our TV and our movies. Did you ever talk with any of them about how they view us in the United States?
I don't. We didn't. They spoke Spanish, and Emily and I are
Okay.
not fluent in
No.
Spanish. So, but it's really amazing how much communication you can do without words. And like Emily was saying, we were feeding children at the schools, and yes, they were so happy that we were giving them a meal, but I think even they were more happy that we were just there to spend time with them.
I
And
think that's great.
the kids would eat, or they would just scarf down their food, and then they would run outside and jump all over us and want to play. We would get out our camera, and they would want to take hundreds of pictures. And Emily and I had the opportunity to make good friends with the kids who lived across the street from the hotel that we stayed at. So we every night would go out with them, and they would bring a notebook over, and we would write something in English, and they would write something in Spanish, and then their teacher, they would take it to school, and their teacher could read it for them, so they could hear what we said. We had Google Translate on our phones, and we tried as hard as we could to
the
communicate.
cultural exchange that you two have done just demonstrates how our world is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and that we not only have a responsibility to our next door neighbor or our state, but we also have a responsibility on a worldwide basis because we're all becoming one. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that just like goes along with we didn't have to speak their language to communicate with them, and but they were just happy that we were there to spend time with them.
I
So
think that's great.
they didn't care that we were not the same color as them. They didn't care that we were from the United States. They just cared that we were there and we were human just as much as they were, and we were able to spend time with them and build relationships.
It was really just like not crazy, but like everybody there was so friendly and welcoming. It didn't matter if, I mean, obviously we went there and didn't know anybody that lived in Honduras, and every single person that you passed said hello. It didn't matter if it was someone that was in the store or on the street, or when we would walk from our hotel to the house where we had all of our meals, like people would just run out of their houses to like wave and say hello to us, and then by the end of the 16 days, we're like hugging everybody as we go to lunch. It was almost like our own little parade, but like it was like 30 people walking from point A to point B, like I don't know, maybe like a quarter of a mile, if that. And everybody's just like coming out of their houses to wave and hug us, and so that was kind of. I remember the last night walking home, in the dark, and we're all as a group, and all these little kids are playing soccer in the street, and they're like, waving at us and hugging us, and I was like, oh, that's kind of sad that it was the last day that we were
Yeah.
going to get to do that.
Yeah.
And then we came back to the United States and like passed people and like nobody
Nobody
speaks.
waves.
Nobody waves. Nobody says hello, and I'm like passing people at the Kroger and hola, and like they're looking at me like I'm crazy. But that was just the norm there, and so it was very different to come back to the United States and see how everyone wasn't just like so friendly and open
Yeah.
here, and
Yeah.
it was real eye opening.
Yeah, yeah. We only have about one or two more minutes, etc.
Okay.
Um, but I personally want to thank you, Audrey and Emily. I'm going to let you know that every first Thursday of each month, we try to have a cultural program. In other
Okay.
words, individuals that can speak about different countries or things of that nature, because there's nothing greater than really understanding another person's country.
Yeah.
So
Well,
just
we
wanted to
we both
put,
had a great experience, and we could probably sit and talk about it and share stories for a long time.
Yeah.
So maybe that would be like a better segment. But because you said we were running out of time, I do want to highlight a couple things that maybe prospective students need to know, or if there's anyone listening that might know a student that would be interested in studying at Ohio State. So right now, the application for admission is open. So that opened on August 1st, and coming up in just a month is the first priority deadline. So November 1st is the priority deadline for students that are wishing to apply for admission next fall. So they would be starting in the fall of 2017. So November 1st, like I said, priority deadline, not the final deadline, but we definitely encourage students to get it in by then, because then that puts you into opportunities for university scholarships as well as an early admission decision. So students that apply by that date will have an answer about admissions in about mid-January. The final deadline is on February 1st. So students do have until February 1st to apply for admission for fall of 2017. If anyone has not visited Ohio State and they would like to, you can definitely we encourage you to sign up to do a visit. If you're interested in a major within the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences, we have a program called Experience Ohio State for a Day, and that's a one-on-one visit where a high school student would come and be paired up with a current college student that is studying the same thing of what they're interested in. So if a student is interested in community leadership, they might be paired up with Audrey for the day if she has volunteered to be an EOFD host, and they would go to class with her that day. She would take them on a tour of campus, to the residence halls, to the new Nosker house that our students live in that are freshmen and sophomores, and then also be treated to lunch. And so then that would be in the morning, and then in the afternoon, that student and their parents would meet up with someone from the department that they're interested in studying in. So if it was a community leadership student, they would meet with me. We would talk about the community leadership major, the curriculum they would be studying, student organization, study abroad opportunities, any questions that they have about the application process. And so while the students are, on their tour with the college student, our parents are also getting a tour and being treated to lunch as well. So it's a great opportunity for high school students to really get that experience of what their college education would be like at Ohio State, or what a typical day would be like. We can't promise that it'll always be sunny. Yesterday we had some students that visited and it rained all day, and it was just a total fluke. It never rains at Ohio State. It's always beautiful here. But anyone that is interested in doing a visit can visit our college website and sign up. And the website address is CFAES, and that's short for College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. And then so it's cfaes.osu.edu/visit. So that's
and
the
we'll try to have that on our tagline.
Okay, great. So yeah, so they can go to that website, fill out a short form about some days that they are available to attend and what majors they're interested in, and then we'll have a student worker connect with them and plan that out so we can have them come and visit. So yeah, we do those any days that Ohio State's in school, but then coming up in the next couple of weeks, we'll also be at the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana. So if anybody watching will be visiting National FFA Convention, Ohio State will have a booth in the college area of the trade show. So we encourage you to stop by, visit us, get some information on different majors that we have, and then we always have some really nice goodies as well for students.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
Very good. Emily, I want to thank you again. A very good interview with Audrey Hoey. Audrey, we hope that you come back. We're always interested in looking at some of our students if they would like to be a host of a program or format. So as you see, the process is very easy. Correct?
Correct.
Emily, I really appreciate all the hard work that you do.
Thank you.
And I know that as we go along each month, et cetera, you will continue to bring in really good guests like Audrey, and the subject material is really for those students or for those individuals out in the rural areas to take advantage of some of the things that we're doing. So, again, I want to thank you, Emily and Audrey, for your time.
Yes, thank you for having us, Patrick.
And just to touch bases next week, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the cultures. One of the individuals is from Nepal, Dr. Govinda Coriella. He teaches at the University of Rio Grande, in which he's an author of 10 plus books. He's run his business in New York, and he shares some different perspectives on Nepal. It's interesting, we had a program with him about a year and a half ago, 6 weeks before the major earthquake, and he was showing all the different monuments and all the different buildings that were extremely important in Nepal and Kathmandu. And when the earthquake hit, part of those buildings collapsed and things of that nature. So at least we have it on film what it looked like. We also have some other guests that will be talking about their country that they live in. Again, as Emily and Audrey has said, our world is becoming and shrinking more and more. It's our advantage to get to know individuals. I want to thank Dwayne Rigsby. Dwayne is our system specialist. He makes us look good. I want to thank Mike Thompson over at the University of Rio Grande for his dedication in undertaking some of the programs that we are involved in on a joint basis. And again, I want to thank Emily and Audrey for their time available. I'm Patrick. We will see you next Thursday at 9.